Alright, welcome back to Mythlanders Season 2, Goblinstone, Session 3. I'm DM Feanor. I am your Dungeon Master Extraordinaire, a pro Dungeon Master through the week. These are some of my amazing players and friends, the Mythlanders. We have Jay Fink, we've got Loquitur, we've got Ponpon, Nick Beat, and Big Bry. Now, last session in Goblinstone, you all fought off a wave of goblins in the dust and dirt. You saved a couple of townsfolk, but many other were killed or captured. The dust has fallen quite a bit. You can almost see the great stone on the hill and the city, but it's still through the occluded dust. The square itself, visibility is much higher. You can see across the square. You can see the huddled and bloodied masses on the ground as well. We're in, you all are sort of spread out a bit through the square. Some moving toward the alchemist, some having just come from Mildren's and gathered some equipment, and a couple of you scavenging wares on the ground in the square, left behind by merchants who were either killed, kidnapped, or smartly fled. Let's see. And you saw two heavily armored goblins that had made their way into the square, seemed to send out a couple of others to assess. And once the dust had fallen and they began to see their own numbers and their tangled limbs spread out through the northern part of the square, and saw you all coming together, they wisely stepped back northward with two of their goblins in tow. Now, it's let's see here. It's pretty clear that there's likely going to be another attack on the square. By the level of noise you heard from all the different goblins and the unified chant that they were making, meet for the masters, it's certain that the square will be attacked again. It's a matter of time. It's likely that it'll be attacked sooner if these goblins slip away. But perhaps you all would think that taking a few, however long, that buys you with these goblins slipping away, take that time to maybe try to mount some sort of defense, recover somewhat, or you all could step into the streets after them. But before we step it out any further, I just want to check briefly with everybody and see, let's see here, what is your character's sort of main concern or their main takeaway from last session? Big Bry, how about you? What is Lokag's main concern or takeaway?
Now that Lokag's got this big hammer that he acquired from the Arms and Armor shop last time, his main focus was on getting south to check on Baba Brune and to see if he could scavenge some sort of health potion from that blanket that was being people were peddling potions there outside of the tavern.
Okay, heck yeah. And how about Helena?
I think Helena has made more money than she's ever seen in her life. And this excites her very much. So I think her mind is sort of starting to turn towards how she may exploit the chaos to mostly her monetary advantage. She's already snatched up a couple of potions, and I think, ultimately, stay behind the big guy because she doesn't really feel like dying today. There are many rat pelts that need to be sold, and the message has to get out there. This is a quality product, and also rats must be respected. So she's starting to take over my mind a little bit, so you might want to move on to someone else.
Perfect. I love to hear that, actually. All right, let's see here. How about Clint?
Oh, Clip?
Mm-hmm.
I would say Clip is he's wounded, and he's going to want to maybe do something about that. He's hurt, but he also knows when you find your mark and they start running away, it take days for you to find them again. So he's sort of looking off, thinking like maybe he wants to go and follow them, maybe take some pot shots as they're running away. If he can grab a bow and sort of come after him. He might look around to see if anyone else is going to join him.
All
or
right.
if anyone's got a heal.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. And what about X?
X is going to try to, recruit people to help secure the square.
Mhm.
So basically, if we expect them to come back, there's some things I'd like to do. I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but basically that's his goal. His goal is to try to do things to make this a defensible position.
Okay, great. I think that is perfect, and we can jump back into it. Let me transition us over to a map. All right. Double checking to make sure everything is still intact in OBS. All right, so at the moment we can go ahead and highlight our tokens and reroll initiative. This will be, more for RP and for exploration. And if you all decide to slip off after the goblins, then we'll reroll for combat when that happens. All right. All right, let's see. I didn't see one for Helena. Thank you so much. Right. All right. So as let's see, from X's position, from X, yeah, you can actually see over the stall of throwing weapons and such. You can see the other goblins slip away, and as the road sort of cuts back to the right, up the hill, they slip out of view. There's not far. But what does X do or say?
Okay, so what do I know about this place in terms of entrances and exits? Obviously, there's a big path going up north here.
Mm-hmm. North and south, there's
What-
two major roads.
Okay. East
There-
and west?
East and west on the left, there are two roads. There's one road and an alley on the right.
Okay.
So here's
So-
the alley mentioned. And below that, on the bottom right, another road. Very bottom, another road. To the left, there are two roads, north, south, and north there.
Okay. I'm going to give Clifford a bow of respect. Like, thanks, good job, just acknowledging how effective he was in combat.
It's a Tuesday.
I'm gonna pray a little bit and try to heal Lokag. See if I can get this to work. So, say a little prayer to Cuchulain, and I'm like, we gotta get this big guy healed back up, so X starts muttering. He says, heal this wounded soldier.
I mean, if I had a choice, I'd prefer the healing to the accolades. He says as you heal him.
You
I'm trying to heal Lokag.
I know he's being like, I would have rather had that than compliments.
Oh. Yeah, I'd rather have the healing than the thanks. I got it. Yeah, I got it.
as you reach out to touch Lokag, there's only silence in your mind, and in your heart. There's no voice that responds. That sort of familiar presence has not returned. There's no glow from your fingertips. And Lokag is
X will
still
just-
wounded.
Grit his teeth in annoyance. He stalks off. So what my idea is, I'll talk this. We're in like the open initiative order, right?
Yeah, I mean, things are still happening pretty quickly, but you know, you've got 20, 30 seconds.
So here's the things I'm thinking. I'm gonna talk this over with Clifford, see if he's on board with any of this. If we block up the east and west alleys and just like stop things from coming in and out easily, that's step one. We'll leave the south open because the goblins are to the north, I understand.
They are, yes.
And then, is there any chance that there would be like a giant barrel full of caltrops somewhere in this area of shops?
You haven't seen anything like that, but you know that the smiths keep lots of metal scrap around. So there might be something that could be used like that.
Okay. So if we could just litter this northern path here with a bunch of caltrops and put up a sign in Goblin that says "Safe Path for Goblins," you know, and that would be what X is going to try to arrange.
Okay. So you step off over to the smithy, I'm assuming. There's an outdoor forge. The coals are still hot. Tools have been scattered. It looks like a few bins of ore and, or not ore, but a few, like a pallet of metal has been cleared out. There's a decent, maybe 2 feet by 1 foot by 1 foot, 2 feet tall bin with a bunch of metal scrap. It has larger chunks, but it's also filled with smaller metal pieces.
Look dangerous to step on?
Yes.
Salt. Let's see what we can do there.
Okay. So go ahead and just use your draw tools on Roll20 and draw out an area where you want to pour out all that metal.
And you can't circle the whole square.
True. There's not enough in that small barrel that you found.
I put like 9 squares
Okay.
ish. Just
Let's see.
the biggest priority is getting them all the way across the alley,
Mm-hmm.
and then as many squares deep as we can get.
Okay. On stream, I think you all should be able to see. Yeah, you should see
Yeah,
that top
it's
of that
looking
area.
good.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is where he started the caltrops there, just where the buildings are. All right.
That seems like a bad plan to anybody. Now is the time to yell.
What do I think about that? I don't think much of it at all, really.
Well, Clifford won't be
I
participating.
like this plan.
You go ahead and play with your toys. He's gonna go run north when it's his moment. And try to scout.
All right. So, yeah, X, as you come up and grab the barrel, as you're dumping the contents out and returning the barrel over, a heavy iron door on the wall opens. A heavy-set, sort of soot-covered dwarf. You think he's blonde, somewhere underneath all the layers of soot. Steps out, looks around. What's that I smell? We're sleeping off. A bit of a headache. What's all this ruckus? What in the lost gods? He sort of looks around at the broken tents and such like that. But his eyes snap back to you, the empty pallet of ore. And he dashes over toward it and begins sort of shouting incoherently, fussing over the lost, well, not ore, but probably bars of iron, or maybe steel. You saw it in passing. It was a good amount. You can see why the dwarf is upset. As you're replacing the barrel, he's kind of set down on the empty pallet and started to weep softly. All right. So next in the order is Helena, down toward the south, having just grabbed a couple of potions.
Well, it just occurred to Helena that goblins might be interested in some of her wares, maybe more so than the common townsfolk around here. She shouts at the square. But I think she's interested in perhaps, although her rat pelts are great, she's thinking about maybe swiping some armor, maybe? See what she can. Well, I guess technically I have leather armor, but I hardly doubt that that's actually, like, adequate in my mind, so, yeah, would that be maybe perhaps in this guard's gear tent that's kind of directly in front of me?
You didn't see any armor or, like, bladed or, real combat weapons in either the guard's gear or the military equipment. It seems to be mostly, like, accoutrements and, like, belts and baldricks. Hats, placards where medals or pins might go. But there's truncheons and clubs. Go ahead.
Anything that looks like I've won some sort of tournament, like a big belt buckle or some kind of big clip or sash, something real obnoxious, like I'm a hero.
Well, the closest thing you can see is there is a guard captain's parade or like sort of court dress hat. It's a very smartly cut gray cap. With a sort of short, very curved bill. It has a massive plume of red and white feathers underneath the crest of Arabelle.
Ooh, sounds perfect. Hell, I'm gonna try some on.
It's a little bit big, but with probably your disheveled and likely matted hair, frankly, it probably fits on fairly well.
Of course it does. It's a destiny hat. Now, everyone will know I'm a legitimate salesperson.
You're getting some stares from the folks at the pub, as Lokag is likely passing by you, going back toward those blankets. Baba Brew is kind of arched a large bushy eyebrow at you, and there's a couple of other townsfolk that seem to have come out. Picked over the goblins a little bit, or at least started to move their bodies out of the way. He seems to be talking them into. Go ahead.
Don't you have better things to stare at?
This draws more of their stares for a moment. The older man turns away back to Baba Bruin. Baba Bruin says, "It's all right, Helena. We're all friends here. Are you hurt, love?"
No, well, I mean, just a scratch. I mean, no big deal. I just fell under some carts, stabbed a few goblins. It's fine.
He looks down to a fallen. Well, you recognize him. The landlord that really owns the property that the tavern and the brewery that Baba Bruin runs. He looks down and says, "Well, the place is coming to perhaps a different management style. Would you like a drink, love?"
Well, I would love a drink, sir. Thank you.
Come, have a sit then with Baba.
Happily comes right along.
You recognize the older man, a Mr. Dunham. Dresses acts fancy, but he's not like a noble or anything like that.
Dunham, you look exquisite on this chaotic day.
Oh, well, thank you, Helena. He seems to be surprised that he's speaking to you. He looks around at the chaos to sort of, explain himself to himself, and he kind of nods and, "Hell of a day, isn't it?"
Yeah, you could say that. It's been working out for me, though. It looks like it's okay for you. I mean, why not celebrate?
Well, not sure they're all that much to celebrate, but another day
Alive.
breathing.
We're alive. I've sold rat pelts. I've got this new hat. What's not to celebrate?
Well, I'd say you deserve the hat. I heard from Baba Brune that there's a few of you coming to our defense, as it were. He seems to squint at you, as if he doesn't really believe it, but he's waiting for your response.
Doesn't he believe?
That you were part of defending the square?
Well, believe it, sir. I am quite formidable. I work with volatile creatures, as you may know, and I'm keen and quick and cunning.
Putting his hands back. I have no doubt of your toughness and ability, Helena. We all know you're the toughest around. He smiles,
Yes.
a faint, sad kind of look on his face.
Yeah, I would too.
Baba nods, handing you a wooden cup full of rather cool, spiced, and sweet mead.
She like downs half of it in like the first swig, smears his dribble off her chin. That's just what I needed. This is the best day.
He refills your cup. I think I'm going to step over to Cliff, if that's all right, unless you had something else you wanted to move toward. Something
Perfect.
else you wanted to start doing? Good. Okay, so
Perfect.
Helena is drinking. This is the first time you've been invited over toward the porch. Mostly Baba Brune's told to run you off, although he's never really wanted to, and you can tell.
Ah,
All right, so Cliff,
Yes.
go ahead and move X token up here.
He'll immediately, he'll probably... He wants to grab a bow if there's one laying around, a short bow or a long bow.
There are several short bows. The goblins, about every third of the goblin had a short bow.
Alright.
They're sort of in rough shape. The wood looks worm eaten, half rotted.
Any decent longbows around by the arms and armor?
Well, you know that Mildred has a decent longbow, crossbows, and some quivers inside. The short bows will do. It's just
No, I might need more. He's gonna run
Might
in
need
there.
more.
He'll run in and say, I need to borrow this. I'll be right back.
Oh,
And he-
aye. Well,
This from the bow and starts to take it.
I recognize you. Yes, you're the thief taker. Oh, yes. Oh no, I have you by trusted word. Yes,
good.
I'll mark what you take, and
Alright.
you'll pay me back when we get through this.
Alright, that's fine. That's fine. And he's just like not into the niceties at all. He's just like really not that great with people when they're not far away. He's shooting at them.
Right.
So,
Mildred's following you along, his hands kind of rubbing them together as if he's trying to get back into being a
throwing arrows.
shopkeeper.
he grabs a quiver, he throws some arrows in there, and he rushes past X. And he says,
Oh.
look, I'm going to follow them, alright? And I'm going to see where they went. And after I know where they are, we'll know where they'll be coming from. Get it? And then he's going to run off and try to see if he can chase them down without getting seen and find out where they're going.
Okay. Does anybody go to stop him or sneak along with him or follow him or anything like that? Just double checking with everybody else.
If anyone else wants to come along for the
Oh,
ride,
mustache man. Find the goblins. We will secure the base here.
he'll nod, and I think he'll be all right as long. He's a lone wolf, so it makes sense that he'd be cool. He's not gonna like engage in melee with these guys, but if he can mess with them, take them out from a distance, maybe he'll have some luck.
All right. So, as you fall into old habits, shadowing a certain mark. But this time you've got several, and some of they're not very they're not attempting stealth at the moment anyway. But you certainly can. Go ahead and roll that stealth check and perception or investigation, whichever you choose to do. Because you can either kind of look at the ground and around for, you know,
Using
traps
my
and that.
passive perception.
Okay.
Yeah, because they only left recently, so I think in terms of timing, he's kind of relying on just his, where they went and kind of keeping track of them. And as he starts to get close, that's when I think his slight, his stealth will kick in. So
Yeah.
I'll just roll that. That's when he'll try to hide, and maybe he'll take some shots at him, or maybe he'll 13 on the stealth,
Okay.
and try to catch up with them. Maybe they're a little slower than he is.
Maybe they are. Just one moment. Some shenanigans in the background.
I'll try to keep over 100 feet away from him for now.
Okay. So as you slip out of the square and move along what's called the Salt Road, you're coming into, immediately into the tangle and cluster of buildings where streets turn every which way. The street curves off to the north. About 70 feet up, you see two houses almost directly across from each other. And you see two of the sort of disheveled, half-naked goblins with worm-eaten bows and rusty scimitars, standing at the edge of the buildings, watching in your direction. Let's see here.
Try to find some cover if I haven't been seen yet.
One of them spots you. He whistles, and they both vanish behind houses.
Right, that's not good. How far away are they?
So from the square, about 160 feet. But you spot them as you come around the bend. You're about 70 feet from their position.
Oh, okay. Well, is there cover between us that I can move to?
Not really in the street, of course, but you can move over to the edges of buildings, side streets
Yeah.
and alleys and stuff like that.
I think he'll move to the buildings and kind of work his way up the alleys and try to get. I think the goal here is to try to get a sense of the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll focus more on being quiet, stealthing, and kind of go up through the alleys and try to come around and see where they might come from.
Okay.
Stealth.
Well, as you slip forward, you let me double check. So yeah, you hear the sounds of combat all around you to the north, but definitely to the sort of off to your left and right, as if there's not maybe much fighting going on near the stone, at least not at the moment. But certainly just ahead of you, you hear three different areas, maybe 600-700 feet away. Combat's pretty loud, so you can hear the goblins screaming, and you can hear the whistle of multiple arrows, slashing through the air, and you can hear the townsfolk fighting. And yeah, they are, because you can hear the townsfolk also grunting and shouting in the common tongue, trying to mount some sort of resistance.
All right. If there's a way for me to back them up, I think Cliff is going to try to, stay in cover and see if he can get to where he might be able to help the fight.
Okay.
I don't think I should do that now. I think it might be a good point to cut to somebody else.
Okay.
But that would be kind of his current goal.
Okay.
Maybe he can get on the rooftops even. That would be pretty rad.
If you want to climb up and get up high, you can go ahead and make an athletics check.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Mhm.
Let's do that.
You pick a good spot with a.
Do acrobatics.
Let's see. Yeah, there's a couple of spots where it's mostly balance. A windowsill.
Okay. 22. Can I do some cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do a little gymnast move and then launch myself up to the top. Cool. All right. So he's up on the roof and he's going to try to get the lay of the land.
Okay. So as you climb up, you leap up, find yourself a good position next to a chimney where you can get some cover and look out. You see greasy black columns from multiple fires, houses on fire, but also fires in the streets. There seem to be dozens of fires right around the stone, and where the fading dust is now being replaced by sort of greasy smoke that's billowing up. It seems intentional by the goblins. You're not sure that they, the setting of fires is a way to create more chaos. And you can see a few clusters of people fighting. As you watch, first one and then another, townsfolk being overwhelmed as just goblins continue to stream in to the crossed streets.
He looks at the chaos and, God damn it, they're gonna burn the whole place down. And he'll just start taking pot shots at goblins all day.
Okay.
From the rooftops and try to back people up. That'll be his plan.
Okay. Slipping back over to Millie as we leave Cliff up on the rooftops, trying to just subtract from the massive numbers. Back over here in the square, what is Millie doing?
Yeah, so Millie's taken a few hits from the battle and is heading towards the alchemist.
Okay.
So, assuming it's locked and barred.
The door has been barred as you come up to it, or you know who's inside. You're familiar with Cyril and Elneth, the couple that owns the place. As you come up along, even as you're coming by the windows, you can see Cyril's pale blonde, short-cut hair bobbing up along as she makes her way over to, looks left and right through the window glass and opens the door.
Sarah, we've taken them out, I think, for a
That's
while
amazing.
at least.
It's amazing. I can't believe you all did that. But you're a hero, Millie.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, in my book, yeah. Come in. Let me shut the door. She creaks it closed behind you. We have a few. Elneth and I talked a bit, and we thought you deserved. This is the smart thing, so you could take what we have. We have but 4 healing potions left. She gives them to you in a small basket. There's 2 antidotes in there as well. We're working on making some more. We thought you might need them. We thought some other folk in the town might need them as well. But we trust you
I'll get
to
the 2
distribute
bolts.
them. Good.
Get the 2 bolts stuck in my side and the scimitar slash across,
Oh,
bleeding from it.
You'll need
we
to
do.
come into the back. Let us get those out of you. Please.
All right.
She kind of puts her arm around you. Elneth, love, we have a patient. I'm not surprised, says Elneth's monotone sort of voice from the next room. As you come in, they lay you down just on this. It's essentially like a small bed. It's out in the middle of the room. They lay you on it. They give you a strap of leather for your jaw, and sorry, love, no whiskey or bourbon. Elneth just won't have it. Thins the blood, she says, as she sort of looks at you.
Normally I do this myself, but I had to get the big guy sober.
Well, you just sit tight. We'll have you in no time. Elneth begins to count, and then pulls the arrow out onto, and then quickly pulls the other one out. Luckily, she seemed to have seen, at least looked out and studied a little bit, seen a bit, as most of these These don't have arrowheads. They're just sharpened sticks with fletchings. She drops them to the side, and they pour a salve over you. This heals you for 5 hit points.
Thanks. I'll make sure these get to the others. They've very strange individuals. New Lokak could. I mean, we've seen him in the arenas.
Well, you have, says Elneth. Yes,
It
got to
is
see him in
best
the
time to
fight
pick
once.
Pockets.
Oh, Millie, you're such a scamp. I know you do what you have to. But I think things might be changing around here. I think things will look at you a little differently after this. Don't you think, Elneth? Maybe, says Elneth. Depends on how long she lives.
He has a point.
Yeah, she does, but she's still rude. Elneth just shrugs and goes to watch her hands. They, so yeah, Elneth, Elneth doesn't say much more. Saral seems to have a million questions, but they just aren't coming to her tongue. She sort of stares at you for a moment, like her head sort of wavering back and forth. Well, that's it then. As good as new. Or nearly.
Well, as good as I'm probably ever been. Thank you, both of you. I think they're gathering people at Baba Brune's. If you're able to get down there, more people's safety in numbers.
Ooh. Well, it'll be hard to make salves and potions for everyone down in the pub. I mean, the walls are solid stone, and you saw how small the windows are. Don't you think we'll be safe in here?
I mean, I'm not a tactician of war or battle or fights. I mean, I don't even think I hurt any of those goblins out there. I think that was all, those guys look like trained killers out there. Huh? Kind of strange.
Yeah, well, there's something. I think you got a bit of that too, Millie, says the other woman. Most people would be puking their guts up or crying their eyes out after seeing something like that, says Elneth. Make an insight check.
Insight. All right. Wow. 22.
Elneth, there was a lot of history when Elneth said that. Like, she's seen combat, you think. That just you can just tell there's something about her, and something always struck you as somewhat military about her, like in her background somewhere. Though there's no accoutrements, there's no weapons visible. She doesn't really carry herself like a soldier, but still something.
We need the potions, so I mean, use your own judgment. But yeah, I mean, me and my friends have lived literally in the shit of the city for so long.
Well, it's our city, says Saral, and well, we'll do what we can. We'll at least finish up what we have. Elneth will go, and if there's a meeting for defense or anything, Elneth will see to that. She has more of a mind for those details. I'll get back to the salves and potions. So as Billy, as you see yourself out, there's all sorts of potions and such within. If you saw fit, you could, there's a few that are labeled. Most of it's things that are just really simple, not magical, but just herbal concoctions and things like that. But still, some things that might be of use. But slipping back over to Lokag, as you have, as you're, Helena's moving up to the pub as you're making your way down there. Sort of. So what's Lokag doing? You said he was moving toward one of the merchant booths?
Yeah, so the first thing Lokag is going to do is jaunt quickly past the tavern and check that blanket where he saw them selling potions earlier, see if there's any health potions left.
Okay. Let's see here. You don't see any immediately, but you can make a perception check or an investigation check. There's rags and bodies, layers of dust.
6.
You don't see any potions that are that have like a red band on them that would suggest that it's a healing potion. You do, however, see a milky, sort of opalescent, bluish green potion that, as you pick it up and swirl it, it sort of clouds and tumbles around. It's beautiful, but it's clearly, some sort of potion. You can make a if you have Arcana or Religion or Nature, you could make one of those checks.
But I'm gonna roll Nature because I think it makes the most sense for Lokag.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any of those, which is fine. That's okay.
Reminds you of clouds.
Nice. He'll leave that potion, so he's not worried about that. Then, okay. So what he wants to do, is he's gonna tell. So he's gonna walk up to Baba Brune,
Mm-hmm.
and say like, "Oh, good job defending the tavern. I think there are more to come. You need to get everyone inside. Perhaps use some tables and barrels to block the road right there. Create a barricade by the tavern."
That's a great idea, Lokag. Thank you. I'll get to it right
Not
away.
my idea. His idea of Sirius Face. He go up north.
Ah, yes. Well, thank you. I heard your battle cries and shouting.
Yes. So far, no death this time. Still no death, but that is okay. I will find my glorious battle death. Perhaps in the goblins that are to come, yes?
Ah, I think they're too small. Maybe you need to find some bigger
Yes,
goblins.
I agree. Something much bigger. But he is going to, after he kind of tells the people from the tavern to block up that roadway,
Mm-hmm.
Lokag wants to go, if there's time. There's a lot of movement, so, just let me know. But essentially, he wants to go up here to this woodworking cart, and he wants to basically take the cart over to the southern road and kind of kick it over and make a barricade out of it.
Perfect.
For the southern road.
Okay. Perfect. The heavy-set woman, that the stockier woman that you that X saved, she steps out and helps you. Begins dragging some of the tables and such over. Let's see here. While you're doing that, one of the guards gains consciousness and stands up, sits up, makes his way over to a table and sits for a moment. It's got sort of blood running down the side of her face, and seems stunned, but she seems to be slowly gathering herself. She looks like Yeah. Probably a slightly over middle-aged dwarven woman. Her her helm seems like knocked askew, but she doesn't really seem to have noticed. At some point, she eventually takes her helm off and gets up, seems to shake it off a little bit, and move to helping you all.
Nice. Once, are we able to successfully block up the southern roadway?
Let's, it's a matter of piling, if you're just trying to pile stuff in there, then if you're just spending your time doing that, just trying to block it up, then absolutely.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know if I needed to make a check or anything. But yeah, I think that's what Lokag would be doing, and as they finish piling stuff up, or maybe towards the end.
Well, pause there. Let's go ahead.
Lokag would tell the people.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Lokag would just tell the people helping him to go to the tavern.
Okay.
And hide out there.
All right. You can make a persuasion check on them, as they seem pretty stubborn about helping. And then you can also make a athletics check or a strength saving throw if you're trying to push the cart bodily over.
.21 on that athletics.
Nice. Yeah, it heaves. You heave it over. It sort of crashes. You can hear and see some of the wheels break, and it sort of settles down into position. And they jam some other tables and bits of the broken tent awning and sort of block everything up to some degree. I mean, a goblin could still climb over it, maybe underneath it, get around it, but they'd be vulnerable and it wouldn't be fast. You'd certainly hear them.
All right. And then, he's just gonna kind of, I guess, he'll spend all his actions doing that while we're doing all this role play.
Okay. Alright, just a moment. As X and Lokag begin to make some fortifications, Cliff scouts north and sees the swath. See what the city has come to since the stone fell, as short a time as it was. And Millie is enjoying a well-earned drink in her mind, and in Baba Brune's, and in Mr. Dunham's. As some people, word spreads a bit, or likely from you all just sort of shouting and getting people's attention. A few people that are in town or in the square, helping to spread the word. Some people come out from the Potter, the Traveler's Outfitter, from the restaurant, even from the woodworking and the Scrivener's shop. People that had managed to barricade themselves in. And some of them, at least the stouters, the ones that seem more physically capable anyway, make themselves available to help, with barricading and sort of protecting the square. Once people see that you all are doing that, anybody that's conscious seems drawn to help. So this not being a combat, I don't think we necessarily need the round by round check-in. It seems, I think we can do without it. So next in the order is X. There's a softly sobbing dwarf nearby crying over lost metals.
Yeah, it'd be good for me to go over and engage with him.
Could be.
So I'm gonna, and we haven't heard back from Cliff, right? So he's not able to get a message back to us, right?
Yeah, has not. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on there. Okay, I'll approach the dwarf and I will say, "What is your story?"
I'm nothing now. I was a smith with customers and work to do. Now I've not even any ore to make a simple tool with. He reaches down and plucks up a hammer from the ground, sort of waves it, dumps it into his hand as if he still has that. He looks around. He doesn't seem, he doesn't seem to look toward the dead since he first scanned the area. He's just sitting on the empty pallet of metal.
People need good weapons.
Aye, they do. Sad fact of life, I suppose. But they do need good weapons. Not like that rot.
Your job is secure.
I don't see how. I've got nothing to work with. Not even the scrap, he points toward what you poured out. Only useful for bits and bobs, that. Nothing large. Nothing I could make a billet out of.
What do you need?
Well, metal, man. I need iron and steel. I could make you something fine out of bronze. I'm the best smith in Arabelle. Or I was. Just minutes ago.
I hand him a short sword from one of the goblins.
Mm-hmm.
I raise an eyebrow as if to indicate, can you start with this? Just like,
Pah!
question mark?
What happened to this thing? Terrible. Terrible what they do to weapons. I've not even seen a goblin keep their gear so poor. Goblins I know like stabbing things and want to keep their blade in good order. This... I suppose it could be... Well, I suppose I could clean it up and maybe hammer it back into a bar and draw it back out, purify it. It might be something. I'd need dozens of them, though.
Can you make caltrops?
Easy. But you trying to... What are you... expecting some sort of cavalry to move in? Mostly use them against horses, don't they?
It slows goblins down.
I suppose I could make some goblin-sized caltrops. Might keep my hands busy. Too bad about my metal, though. It's good steel. Good steel. Kind of thumps the hammer in his hand again. Looks down at the scimitar. I'll see what I can do about those caltrops. You bring me more of these broken scimitars, and I might make something worthwhile for you.
I will bring them.
So you look like you've well, you're covered in dust and blood, at least some. Suppose you'll be needing some more weapons. He looks at the sky, the dust. Again, he doesn't look at the fallen. He doesn't look at any of the fallen villagers. He seems like he's having a tough time with everything, and is just sort of focused on the metal as the, as the thing that he's lost. But he nods and he...
Do I get the sense that I should pick the scrap metal back up and give it back to him, or what?
No, you think he's got more of that sort of stuff likely inside. This is just stuff that this is the outdoor bin. But they have, from what you understand, they have a sort of a powered hammers in the basement. So, suspect he's got more, but according to him, he doesn't have any more good metals to work with, unless you bring him more scimitars.
Sure, I will take up some scavenging then. And if there's helpful town folks that are just anxious to help, well, many hands make light work, so...
Oh, it's good to keep folks busy. If, as long as we're not, having more, trouble falling down on our heads. He seems oblivious to the noise of combat echoing in from all quarters. Right. So as you slip out, beginning to scavenge and talking to some more of the town folk, spreading some of the word, you find that as you're coming south, some people barricading the alleyway call your attention over. It's a young man and a woman who are trying to figure the best way to like sort of wedge this table into place. They're really not any hand at it. And you can see the obvious solution, but they're kind of asking for your advice. And you in general notice the other survivors of the square looking to you and to the others who took part in the fight. Really just sort of following along with whatever you all do. But some of them have gone down to the pub where you're trying to get everyone together, but most of them seem fixed on doing what they can. You catch looks of embarrassment from them when they look at you all, as if some of them, anyway, are embarrassed that they hid while you all fought for the city, you know. And they're sort of, you know, they're like, well, I'm not going to, you know, they're doing what they can, I guess, to step up. They look pretty terrified when they're out in the open, and their emotions seem kind of furtive, you know, like they're trying not to be loud. They're scared people, but they're facing their fears bravely, anyway. Does X say anything to them as he passes by?
Many ways to help. War isn't for everyone.
You get a couple of nods from that last part. Some steadying, self-affirming nods from the first statement, and sort of thoughtful nods to the second statement. So next, Helena, still down by the pub. Lokag has sort of breezed through, talk with Baba Brune. The other villagers, the two sitting out front, seem to be helping Baba barricade up this street here. What does Helena do next?
She kind of starts to watch them move the objects as she continues to drink her free mead. Well, you really think that's gonna help?
Baba turns a harsh look on his face. Of course it'll help. Anything that slows these little monsters down. Well.
All right, fine. So, I think what we need is, and I imagine since she has like a pretty good understanding of the city and her surroundings, is there like any sort of sewer drain opening or anything down that alleyway?
Yes. About 30 feet down that alleyway, there's a divot and like a little sluice and grate. And you and Millie both know that grate is pretty loose. There's a trick to it. You gotta angle one corner out first, but you can pry it out if you need to.
So she takes probably, I'm assuming a tapestry or a rug or something large enough around that she can grab quickly, and waves for aid. And she's like, "Come here!" And she starts pulling on the grate, and she's gonna lift it up and put a blanket or a rug over it. You know, classic old trap. That'll help.
Wow, that's not a bad idea, says Baba Boom.
Yeah?
Help!
Uh-huh.
Help the woman! The, sort of, confused younger man and unnamed so far, and Mr. Dunham come over to you pretty quickly. The young man sort of looks at it. Sticks, he says. Need a few sticks. Prop up underneath.
Ooh,
It's too
yes,
obvious. It's bowing down.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you meant
need sticks.
stabbing. But I see what you're saying, yes.
That set it up just right. He wanders off to find some sticks to help you with that. As he wanders back, Avon, he says, by way of naming himself. He doesn't go to shake your hand or anything like that.
Great, because she probably wouldn't do it. She just said, Helena.
Yeah, he nods again. Doesn't say much more, but helps you kind of lay the sticks underneath it. Looks good. Looks good, I think. Proper trap.
Yeah. They're not very smart anyway, so it'll be perfect. I mean, my rats wouldn't fall for it, but these guys...
What if we put a distraction, something near to the alleyway that might make them ignore their footing and perhaps dash toward us, says Mr. Dunham.
Traction. I like that.
I don't know what we would use, but I still don't think it's a good idea to keep this opening. We should still barricade it, don't you think?
Oh, yes, but, they're probably gonna come down here and see it first, and then fall in the hole, hopefully.
Well, I think that would be just fine. So yeah, once you've got that set up and you kind of come back into this square a little bit, Dunham's still not getting close to you, but he's certainly come off his high horse a bit. He is, sharing words with you, something he's not done in public. Only when it's, you've caught him on an alley, just the two of you. You maybe frightened him. He said your name. But very few times has he actually addressed you.
She would be honored, but it's not worth your time.
So, yeah, while you're doing this, you hear a bit of a ruckus from the south. It sounds like some folk... It sounds like gear, like maybe chainmail, some pole arms clattering together. Not combat. Maybe somebody carrying gear? It's hard to say. But you hear from that southern barricade. You and Lokak both hear it, and you can both respond. You hear a, "Oi! Anyone alive? Anyone at all? I see a barricade." Now, Helena, you think you recognize the voice of the boy. You think it's a young fellow named Pell. Works at the docks. He was an urchin also. Quite a bit younger than you. You may have looked after him inadvertently a little bit. Or have some other relationship with him. But he works, if it's the same guy, he works at the docks. You could hear the muttering of other voices. Maybe 6 or 7. The clattering of gear. It's hard to see over the barricade, both for you and for Lokag.
Oh, is that you? She yells back.
None other. None other.
Well, what are you doing over there?
Trying to
Yes,
get.
we're live, obviously.
Trying to get over there.
Right? Well, is there any way through the barricade?
Not really.
Climb over?
Not really. They can climb over.
Um,
They can kind of slip around.
Yeah, Lokag was going to look for some rope and maybe throw it over to him so they could climb up over.
Okay, the Traveler's Outfitter has
But
rope.
he wants... Well, Lokek does want to look up over the barricade to peer out.
You see 9 humans, young folk, dock workers. They seem to have piecemeal armor. One of them has a helmet. One of them has a shield. It looks like a goblin shield. Another one has a polearm and a pole axe. It looks like it's from one of the city watch. One of them hastily put on a chainmail shirt. It's a rabble, but it's a bunch of wharf rats.
Ah, good. You must be friends of Rat Hat Lady. You come over now.
Hi, friends of the city.
Yeah, he wants to run over to the outfitters
Okay.
and throw them some rope.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Scorva, who seems to, the older woman that runs the traveler's outfitter, just nods, doesn't say anything. If you ask, she just points to a rack. She seems content for you all to take, well, within reason. If you were taking nice saddles and things, she'd probably cock an eyebrow up at you. But if it's stuff that's likely for town defense or something like that, she's, but she just nods. She seems to have pulled a few wounded people in, and has them laid out just inside. So yeah, with a large, coil of rope, you slip over and throw the rope over. And to his credit, young Pell organizes and gets everybody over the barricade first. And comes, sort of scampers pretty quickly over. Once everybody else is over. Whoa. Well, isn't this a sight for sore eyes? Looks around the square, noting the fallen goblins in part, but some semblance of sanity. A lot of the dead have been brought out of, to the sides and such like that. People are starting to drape them in cloth or tapestry or the tent tops. Well, me and the wharf rats, we heard a little something. He pants as he's, kind of catching his breath. But he describes hearing, fighting, being on the way to the square to spend some coin, getting off early for market day, when the stone fell and the dust covered the city. They said they fought through a guard's precinct. He says, bad shape, taken over, but we managed to get here. Brought some extra stuff, he says, pointing to a heavily laden dwarf, his pack sort of strapped up with a few pole weapons and an extra longsword, and what looks like a tattered shirt of chainmail, a couple of other bits of gear. But we heard you all talking. We didn't hear any goblins. Me and Yosef snuck up and listened for a moment. So, is that the gladiator? Is that Lokag? Whispers the dwarf. Lokag. Helena. The young man comes forward and hugs you, as he's often doesn't, maybe because you don't let people, but he just forgets, perhaps, if you have boundaries for a moment, and just hugs you. Curious how Helena might react to that.
That's nice. She kind of slowly pushes him off.
So a little bit of you hear Lokag's name again. A couple of other of the wharf rats whisper it. Stepping back over to Cliff, though. And so, Cliff, you have been taking pot shots. You've had to move a couple of times as you got spotted, and they have a few sharpshooters of their own. You notice some very large goblins with decent chainmail, and sharpshooters.
Scary. Well, he's gonna like shoot, then hide, then shoot and hide, and kind of harry them as best he can.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not out in the open for too long.
All right.
Um,
Let's go ahead
and only
and
if he can help his friends, you know,
yeah.
people, townsfolk he knows, you know, hold him off a bit as long as he can until they start to press.
Okay. Let's go ahead and just give me 2 attack rolls.
All right.
And we'll just get an idea of, what kind of accuracy you're laying down. Fantastic.
You're 18.
So you are zeroing goblins. And as satisfying as that is, they seem to, 1 or 2 seem to take their place as one pops up. You're watching and sort of shadowing maybe one particular band of goblins, trying to stay close enough to hit them, but not close enough to really get their attention. And so you're watching this band sort of rove around, find other clusters of humans, attempt to kick in a door, fail, and set another house on fire. Let's see.
This whole town's gonna burn down. How are people doing against all of this?
You're not hearing a lot of anything from townsfolk, at least close by. You can still hear, 600-700 feet away, clusters of townsfolk fighting back. But there seem to be less and less of that too. And it's, may not have been in battles, but you know how exhausting that sort of just, 16, 18 seconds of combat was. And so it might be that the defense is dying down. It might be that both sides are getting exhausted. Goblins may be taking a break or waiting for reinforcements. But yeah, do you think it's more that perhaps the townsfolk are getting exhausted and sort of pulling back and finding places to hide? The goblins getting reinforced, but also a lot of them aren't really resting. They're just going headlong into it. You notice that these sort of filthy, mostly naked goblins seem to have very little sense of self-preservation. They seem to just go until they're like exhausted and make mistakes and like fall off of a building or get cut down, by a townsfolk who just happened, someone from a house who happened to be firing a bow, but you watch them fire and they're not even a good shot,
They're easy target.
Yeah. So, say again?
They're easy targets.
Yeah. But you're also seeing more of these armored goblins that have this orange skin. They're slightly bigger. So pretty large goblins, but not as tall as a human or an elf. Not quite hobgoblin size either. But they do look... Go ahead.
Right, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, they do look a little bit more like the descriptions you've heard of hobgoblins.
Yeah. Well, I think Cliff is going to want to return back and let everyone know what the situation is and report back in. Probably better for me to get back with the group as well and report. And I'll let them all know. I'll see if I can find X and work my way back there. I'll hold on to the bow for now.
Okay.
If I need it. And yeah, he'll report in to whoever wants to reach out to him. He's going to return with a scouting report.
So the square seems that a lot has happened in the past 5-10 minutes. You see barricades are being erected. All of the fallen have been pulled off to the side. The goblins have been roughly piled together, sort of out in the open. But all the townsfolk who have fallen have been draped in cloth. You're starting to see little pieces of wood with names or sigils as people that, if they recognize them, their forms are being marked with a placard. Perhaps for it looks grim. We'll say it that way. But there's survivors, not just the people that fought with you, your allies in the last combat. But other people of the square, or maybe just people that were, out to shop for the market day and survived. But you also notice a bunch of a bunch of younger folk. Seem pretty rough. They're wearing some some of them here and there wearing bits of armor. So a few of them have taken up positions guarding some of the barricaded areas, or helping with the work as well. You find
Thanks for help.
X and Lokag and Helena in very helping, or in some way. You see, probably you're catching Lokag coiling back the rope and setting that to rights, and you spot Millie coming out of the alchemist shop, swaddled, her torso swaddled in bandages.
You all right? He says to Melly.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I got these from Sorrel in there. And you a healing potion.
Whew. I gotta say, I could use that. I was up on that, climbing on up there in this cut. Damn. It smarts. Brutal. I do not like this. And he'll take the potion and drink it. He's hurting. And then he lays down and essentially gives you the report. Tells Millie all about what we saw. It's like, we got 600-700 clicks away. The townspeople are trying to fight back, but those little suicide goblins, they're just coming at us like they're not even thinking like goblins. They're thinking like thralls, or like they're all working for something else that's way above them. I don't know what the hell it is. It's like some great force is just talking to all of them and telling them what to do. Don't make no sense.
Do you think we need to go find it? That seems like the job of the guard, but I've only seen
I don't know. I think
one of them.
I think they're coming. I think they're gonna come again. I think we got another wave, and I think they're doing the right thing, getting all this ready, because it ain't gonna be pretty. Best thing we can do is keep the townspeople going as long as we can until we're all dead, or we drive them off. Unless you got any other ideas.
Just a child of the streets. Not exactly a tactician like you all.
Well, we will be fighting in the streets, so your talents will be useful.
I mean, I can move us through the alleys and probably avoid whatever we need to avoid.
I mean, I don't know. Someone's got to tell us what the hell is going on here. I'm no seer. I'm no sage. But none of this makes any damn sense.
Read.
Is Helena near this conversation?
You certainly can be.
Sure, why not?
Time
I
is
think we're all
yeah.
nearby.
Well, it seems like we have an infestation, if you don't mind my saying. And that being the case, if you want to get rid of an infestation, you kind of have to find where the hive is. Not that I'm wanting to do that necessarily, but hey, we built a sewer trap. We could make some more of those, huh?
Or we could. I mean, the hive seems to be. Oh, what the heck was that falling from the sky?
Yeah, that's probably it. That big thing, that rock.
Well, I like the idea of finding out where this is all coming from, but I'll tell you, I went out about as far as I could before I saw there are armored hobgoblins out there everywhere, and they're gonna take this town. They're gonna kill every single one of these people if we don't help them. So I feel like we gotta stick it out at least until we got no other chance, and then maybe we run and we can run through the sewers and we follow your lead and we try to find the bastards who did this.
Sounds like a plan. I'll hand Lokag a potion, Helena a potion, and X a potion.
Thank you, smelly girl. What happened to your arrows?
Oh, it just happens our alchemist is also a adequate healer.
Excellent. Health potion is 2d4 plus
2.
2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I just
If
rolled
you
mine.
if you go in the Bacon of Hope, it's 12. It's just auto 10.
Yep,
Oh,
Oh,
Is that still up?
Still up?
it is.
Excellent.
delicious bacon.
Taking advice from Serious Face, Lokag will step into there and take. Well, yeah, he'll take 10. Although he doesn't need 10, but
Yeah, I got enough already.
better than risking it.
Yeah, that's sweet.
How long do we think we have till they attack here again? I mean, Cliff, if you think they're going to
No,
try again, I don't know how.
I think they're gonna swarm us just like they did before, but at least this time, with the dust settling, maybe we could see them coming and we could, take pot shots at them, get up in the high ground, and, drop things on them, come up from below and surprise them. But I know they got a bunch of those little, they're just fodder. And then these big old goblins, these hobgoblins, they're all armored, and well, I think they're coming next. So the more we can take them out as they're coming, and instead of waiting for them to get here, I might hold them back, hold them off for a little while, and give the town a chance to recover, get their fight ready. Nice barricades you got there. That should help.
Good. Bring them to me. I'm ready to kill more.
I can let everyone know. He can let everyone know about a spot that he found on the tops of the houses where we might be able to kind of harry them for a little while and take them out from above. But they got sharpshooters too, so we're gonna have to hit and run a lot, so they don't know where we're coming from.
Cliff, you can make an insight check, and as you kind of, shared details about what you saw and what it looked like,
All right.
everybody involved, in the defense can make that insight check as well. Anybody that has a military background, or has extensive, military background, can make that with advantage.
I can't toggle. My character sheet won't let me toggle.
Does being a bounty hunter count?
No.
All right. I got a 19 anyway, so.
Okay. Nice.
11.
Yeah, you think 10 minutes max. You and Millie, based on the three sort of masses of goblins that were moving just north of you. You think about 10 minutes max. Could be as short as 5, but they're easily distracted, so you might have 10 minutes.
Yeah, if we can stuff that northern exit with some traps. And
But if you armed all of the people here with the crossbows and the bolts,
that's a great idea. You know how to use these things, kids?
Pell says, "Aye, point and shoot."
There's short bows everywhere, too.
Those are a little tougher. I was never any good hand with a bow, but crossbows. If the town guard can figure him out, I can fire one.
Anybody in the crowd look like they could use a longsword? Or anybody in our group want a longsword?
I'm good with my shorts. There is the woman who was running the small weapons and tools place. I'm not sure how she's doing, but I know she was pretty heavily injured.
This is
I didn't know how to get one.
She would have you would have caught her limping over to the healers.
Perfect.
Let's see if they can help her out. To the alchemists, yeah.
Well, Lokag will drop his longsword off at the tavern, and I mean, we've got, so at this point, do we have everything blocked off except for the northern entryway?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool. On his way up to the northern entryway, Lokag would be interested in grabbing a couple of hand axes off of this stand up here.
Okay. Stuff's scattered along in the dust, but you find them nearby, and you can pick them up.
If we could set up some barricades to stand behind so we can fire from behind them, maybe knock over some carts and use them as cover, or just maybe they're good enough cover as they are standing up.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple more. There's 3 more, 4 wagons that you could move. could reposition them. There's tables and such that you can lay down to have a couple of different places, to fire from. Not all the tables are thick enough to withstand a crossbow bolt, but several of them are. Let's see. All right, anything else from Millie? It looks like I've given the antidote out to Cliff and Helena.
For later. Yeah, I'll hand out those antidotes, and then so we've handed out the 4 potions, handed out the antidotes. And then, yeah, I'm gonna go around and grab a light crossbow and like 20 bolts.
Okay. All right. So what's Lokag doing? I mean, what's his next thought, or what's his next action?
Lokag wants to he wants to kind of just position himself up north. His goal is to stand in front of the alleyway like this, and egg the goblin. Like, just he's kind of pacing back and forth, waiting for the goblins. But once he grabs his hand axes, he wants to walk up to X and say, "Serious Face, thank you for your prayer of healing earlier. Your god provided me with a healing potion, so it was not for waste."
X just has a big question mark over his head. What?
You know, the god you say, cuckoo or something.
He just accepts that that's limited logic and nods.
And then he just kind of jaunts over to the alleyway and says, "Tell your god, pray to your god for a good death today, X."
X gives that some serious thought. You can see that he's just like standing there, gears turning. Maybe there's some wisdom in that.
Awesome. Anything else for Lokag?
No, Lokag's ready. He's ready for a fight. He's like getting himself psyched up, pacing back and forth.
Okay.
It's what he does in the before he goes into the pit behind the doors. He paces and just psychs himself up.
Oh yeah. Awesome. That rallies a few other people. A couple of the wharf rats, Pell included, come up and join you. So there is, several folk come down to the pub, and there's sort of a meet of defense. You all sort of let them know what's happening, that the town is going to be, that let them know a little bit of what's happening out in the city, however much you want to. But you definitely tell them there's an attack coming, and that you're organizing for the defense. It seems that you'll probably have enough people to sort of fortify any positions. As from within the square, you can hear goblin, clusters of goblins all around you, not just to the north. Those are just the ones that Cliff was working on. So they have worked their way around south and other areas of town, just seem to be swarming over the city like locusts. The air smells and tastes like smoke. The villagers, or at least the townsfolk from around the square, a few of them mention that there's people missing. Sarah and Elneth say their nephew Natewan was kidnapped by the goblins, taken out of their garden out back. Tegla, who runs the heraldry shop, says that her apprentice, Buhel, was taken by the goblins. Bardubel, one of the dwarves from the smithy, is apparently his son was grabbed by goblins. There's a few other voices that, people that have not been found, no bodies have been found, that they assume. So you get a count of nearly 20 people who were kidnapped and taken north by the goblins. and that's a huge blow to morale. So you all get the sense that if you can get these people back, that would be a huge benefit to the square's morale. It would likely there'd be rewards involved, and actually, you get a strong sense that there are rewards, things that they have that, well, they're not clear on what it is. They don't offer outright, but you can tell there will be some sort of tangible reward for returning their people to them. But also, those people all have skills and will be useful members of of any long-term defense that pops up. The question over and over again is, why are they here? What happened? What is their goal? And you all don't know. With no real information incoming.
Meat for the masters.
Meat for the masters. That's all that you know, is they want people for their masters for something, and whatever it is not good.
No.
While
Yes,
this meeting
they want
is
us to meet their masters.
while the meeting is going on, Helena, you notice some rats nearby, sort of coming out of hiding. You notice one of them has something in its jaw. It seems to be looking around as if uncertain of what to do, or like it wants to come towards you, but there's all these people clustered around, but they seem to be trying to make it to you or one of your allies. And it's just there's several rats together, but one of them has something in its jaws. As it finally seems to make eye contact with it, or just looking over and noticing it, seems to give it enough courage that it scuttles over toward Helena. It's got a small strip of colored cloth and a strip of rat fur, and a strip of cloth, brightly colored. You think you recognize. Make it an insight check, and you can make that with advantage. For the rest of you, looking, as likely maybe look over, you can also make that check as you look at the cloth.
Team?
Yeah, everybody can. So that's The rest of the party can also make these insight checks.
It is a piece of cloth. What does it? Nothing special.
Petey?
Hey, DM, there was a suggestion that maybe we wanted to set some of the villagers up to fight fires. If we could get that in place before the goblins get here, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, you could take a few. How many do you want to put on it? You've got 10 healthy villagers, including the wharf rats, who seem like they could hustle, Maybe not
I would like to
fire.
get a few on the roof. A few on the roof with me bows.
Okay.
We'll just set up buckets and just, let's say set up buckets by the fountain and just let people know that if fires get started, that there's buckets and water, and that some people will need to do that. But I don't think there's going to be like 4 people reserved for fighting fires. I think just if one gets started, then we've got a plan.
Okay. Yeah, you could definitely get that set up. Get a few to it. Pick a few to arm with crossbows and get them up high somewhere where they've got cover. The top of the inn right next to the brewery is a potentially pretty good place. Also, Mildred's Arms and Armor is 2-story, as is the restaurant. And actually, a few of the buildings are 2-story. So yeah, there's lots of places that you could set them up, kind of whichever area you wanted. Okay, so as you pluck the cloth out and everybody kind of gets a good look at it, you recognize this strip of brightly colored cloth from Hardy Cart's clothing. It is bloodied. for Helena, you have some history with the rats. You can make an animal handling check if you want to try to understand its body language and maybe try to communicate with it a little bit.
Would love to do that.
It's always frustrated you, perhaps, how rudimentary the communication you have with rats is, since they're smart, and they're capable of understanding more. You just, it's hard to. They're not incredibly, at least verbal, from what you understand. You haven't been able to sort of crack their code of squeaks. But with 13, it's a rat with a cloth. Yes.
Much to learn.
It's very nervous, but underneath that, it's also sad. It's morning.
Why are you so sad, Petey? What's happened to you?
It climbs up to your shoulder, it scratches at the cloth, and you think it's mourning Hardycart.
The rat man?
Mm-hmm.
Your brother?
It cheeps at you.
Oh, this is terrible news. Well, it seems I have no other option but to avenge him. It's not every day you see a rat person. Then it's decided. She turns to everyone holding the tiny piece of cloth. We must avenge our fallen brothers. Especially the rat man.
The rat man? Says Baba. Hardycart? Ah, dark day.
Maybe if you find his body, you can make full shirt out of him.
That would be impressively.
I don't know if that's respectful of a human individual, a humanoid.
You just sent Helena out off in an existential crisis. She's staring off blankly, calculating everything.
I'm confused. Is
The
he
tail
rat or man?
I believe that the tale is he's cursed to be a rat.
What is
Yes, and now he
what
can
am
make a
I?
shirt.
The watery golden light flowing out from the edge of the fountain, cast out by Uma, fades.
That's going to be good.
So you all can hear the nearing of clusters of goblins. Not a massive one yet, but minutes are ticking by. You may have a few more minutes before the square is under threat again. But this time, you're ready. You have some preparation, some defenses, and a way to sort of funnel them in. But the question comes to your minds: should you head to the stone? Would a moment while many of the goblins are distracted trying to crack the tough nut that you've made out of the square, is that the perfect distraction for you all to slip north through the streets, make it to the stone, and see what you can learn, see who you can free, see what you might find? I think we can consider this for a few moments while we take a short break. We'll stay live, whoever, stay live, but yeah, we can kind of think about that, kick that around while we're on break. Sure, we can do it in front of here on camera and stuff like that before we jump back into the action, just speak out of character about it a little bit. Awesome. Well, we're about to take a short break. Everybody, thanks for being here with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're gonna stay live, but we'll probably one by one step off camera and go fill up our waters and that sort of thing. So I will be the first to do that. Who volunteers to hang back first? I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
I'll take
hang
the
first.
first. I'll take first shift. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, I will
Nice.
be back in just a few.
Okay, he's gone now. I'm gonna say nice things about him while he's away. Dude,
I
that
can
rat
still hear you.
interaction was freaking awesome. Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah, that was very cool.
I love that for
So-
Helena. That's so great.
Just for anyone, that's a callback again to the prequels that we filmed and saved for later. So there's a little bit of content behind that with Hardy Cart and all that. Which is very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, a little more context for that. So when when we were getting set up to do this, we felt like having a little more context for the world and living in it for a couple sessions might help us, be effective at role playing this, start in the square. So we did kind of it wasn't really a one shot; it was a few shot. But we used some characters to kind of get familiar with the world and get a feel for what was going on. So I thought that was super fun, super rewarding to kind of live in the world a little bit.
Agreed.
Eventually, we plan to make that content public in some way in the future. But I think that's down the road once we get this campaign underway.
Agreed. Agreed.
So we talked about the histories of our characters. Did we talk about kind of where Millie came from and why?
I don't believe so. Yeah. So Millie's a urchin, obviously, in this city of Arabelle. And she's not an urchin because her parents are dead or her family's gone, as much as she is an urchin because she's been handed off to a absentee family member. But she's also a little more than human, which we may discover eventually.
And she's your intention is to just go pure paladin, or is there multi-classing in her future? What's the idea behind the character?
Probably pure paladin. You don't really get really good paladin stuff until like mid levels of paladin, so I have no intention of going multi-class anywhere quickly.
Paladins really like from 4 to 6. They just go from good to better to insane.
Yeah.
I mean, already at level 6 when you get your aura, it's such a big deal.
Well, just 5 to get them 2 attacks. That's huge.
Yeah, someday. I really think it's interesting the contrast between like the 3 Cliff, X, and Locag versus Helena and Millie, who have like never really wielded weapons before in their lives, to people who have like all this going on.
Right.
It's a pretty cool mix of backgrounds.
It's kind of like in the D&D movie where there's like some people that are just really skilled and talented and have been doing it all.
Yep.
And then the sorcerer is like, I kind of know how to do this. I don't know. I like that formula. I love that we had first level characters on our first run. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yep. Watch it all. This is why you need like 16 screens, by the way. You should just have a lot of media going at once. Yeah, fair. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how we press forward. That's the. I mean, we either fight a bunch of stuff here or we progress on. So. Yep. You don't know. We've got two urchins with city secrets. Oh man, first level paladin's rough. My only special thing I get doesn't come back till a long rest. And I guess I got divine sense, but not really need. Guess I can. Are these celestial, fiendish, or undead goblins anywhere? Darn. All right.
I do like the idea of going underground and kind of finding our way that way.
To the sewers.
Aha. I've been muted this whole time. Well, good thing we're breaking.
I've been here the whole time.
I've been here for a while and didn't realize. Forgot to check OBS.
There's a show called Game Changer, and the guy introduces everybody, and then introduces himself, and then says, "I've been here the whole time." Great.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, that's the goal. That would be the hope, right? When Pawn guides Helena guides us through the sewers.
That's a definite possibility.
Not much of a fan of the close quarters, but
Yeah, Lokak has to be crunched the whole way.
as long as we're friendly, as long as we don't get too intimate.
I am surprisingly nimble.
So is that what y'all are thinking? Head forward, go out into town, leave the square? Is that what y'all are leaning toward?
I think so. I wonder, do we have time to like throw on some leather armor and maybe grab a shield from someone?
You would have had time to do that, yeah.
All right. Upgrade.
Yeah.
Level up.
Yeah, if you get it from Mildred, he is furiously taking note of
Alright.
everything that you get, hoping for the day where he can charge you for it. Because that means everybody survived.
Yes.
So, yeah. But yeah, you would have had time to don new armor that you got, fill your quivers. And all that sort of thing.
I don't mind taking point. Scouting ahead while y'all. Although I guess the rat lady is going to be the one who's going to find a tunnel. But
Yeah. That's the hope, anyway. Alright, heck yeah. Welcome back, Pon Pon.
Hey,
How you doing?
good. Sorry, my doggo took a minute outside.
It's all good. So yeah, currently we were discussing what the next move is. Since it seems like everyone's leaning toward moving forward, thinking about trying to ask Helena to guide them through the sewers.
Ah, well, that happens to be her expertise. I don't know how anyone would have guessed, but I think I can manage that.
So, are we going to defend the square when the goblins come, or are we going to do something different?
That's a good question. I guess I will officially say we are back. Back at it.
Right.
Well, so you all are kind of, a lot of you clustered together, at least for the moment, near the pub, and sharing information. As far as using the sewers, so where do you all, what's your eventual goal? Like to take the sewers toward just as far into the city as you can? There's all sorts of places where, Helena, you could bring them back up. In fact, the sewers, they go underneath the center of the city. And likely right under the stone's location.
I thought we were going to smash some goblins.
Yes, but there's bigger, more interesting things to smash somewhere
Or
that way. Cliff, inform them of the things you saw.
Yeah, Cliff will lay down, the numbers, give everyone a sense of, what we're dealing with, maybe the amount of them that are the armor types versus the fodder. Just kind of give me a quick analysis so they know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you saw a total of about 20 of the heavily armored goblins. They seem to be backing up, like in clusters of 4 to 5. We're backing up the larger mobs of goblins, corralling them. They seem to be sort of, in command over them to some degree. You also think that you smashed one cluster of goblins, and the two heavily armored goblins that came into the square were actually likely the leaders of the group of goblins that made it through the square, or, well, didn't entirely make it through the square, in fact, thanks to you all. Mildred, as you all bring up the sewers and slipping north and trying to get up underneath the stone, he says, "Well, it's not the sort of thing we talk about, but it's said that the royal family had their own catacombs going beneath, allowing the nobles to get from the palace to the docks rather quickly. And also, if rumors to be credited to each of the city's gates. Perhaps, Helena, you might have seen some dressed stonework walls. I doubt you found your way inside them. I'm told they're well hidden. But as he describes this very clean, sort of blue-green stone, you know exactly what he's talking about. There's several points in the city where there's these walls, one wall of a corridor, and it's this blue-gray stone. No mold grows on it or anything. He's saying that each of these is a tunnel that goes in and out of the city like spokes on a wheel. You know where several of those are. And he's basically, perhaps if any of you are handy with a pick or demolitions, you might be able to force your way into that place. I would think it would be much safer than the sewers if you could find it. A thought, says Mildred.
That sounds better than the sewers.
I disagree, but fine.
Okay.
We could also just sneak that way up.
Well, to get to the royal tunnels, you'd have to go into the sewers anyway, because that's where you've seen those walls. So if you were going to try to make it into those, you'd first have to go into the sewers. So it's either under or over. Either way.
Let's go under then.
Is everyone agreed?
X is a bit reluctant. If their goblins are going to attack the square within 10 minutes, I feel like we need to secure this home base. Or do we have a feeling like the townsfolk here got it? Like, if we leave, they'll be able to fend things off.
You kind of, yeah. You can make insight checks, but it seems that the goblins that are going to be coming are the chaotic, unarmored, poor equipment. You've got all these barricades. You've got a few people that know how to use ranged weapons, and then you've got crossbows to hand out to the others. You've got a town guard. You've got Pell. You've got a healer and a couple of other notable people who, could help on the back end anyway.
15 insight, so we think they got it.
X, what you think is it would be a hard fight, and likely they're going to lose somebody. They're going to lose some people. But you're sure you'll make it. If you make it back from your mission, that the square will still be intact, and that there will still be survivors here.
Okay, I agree then.
And as comfortable as some of these people's lives seem, they do seem very dedicated. And you know it would be a morale boost for you to stay with them, but the idea that some of their townsfolk will be restored, and the belief that someone is going to find out what's happening and do something about it is likely going to steady them much more than the 5 of you actually being there would. They'll have something else to fight for as well. You'll be putting trust in their hands, and the survivors that you found are all pretty capable. Those who aren't capable of fighting, they know their jobs. But you've got 10 people who can fight in good positions, including a couple of the blacksmith dwarves.
We got 20 people missing. We got to recover. Maybe they took them back there too. The masters and all that.
Okay, I'd like to hit up the travel supply.
Go ahead, DL.
I'd like to hit up the travel supply store before we go. Some backpacks, rope, a stick, some chalk. The typical nonsense you might need to carry.
There are all those things.
I'll follow X taking the exact same things because I have no idea.
I will grab the basic D&D starting pack.
All right. Yeah. Again, there's, if you need extra daggers, throwing axes, a short bow, javelins. There's also goblin weapons that have been collected that you all can grab.
Awesome.
Oops. So, as the sounds of the marauding goblins get closer, it starts to feel like it's you all's time to go. And, they, just in time, they slide one of the barricades aside, a lot of work from those guarding it, and you all slip down. You all slip northward toward yet another sewer entrance that Millie and Helena know about. What's your order going to look like? Who's going in first?
Well, I think that I am best suited for
Yeah.
this job. Clearly, it's me.
All
I'll
right.
back you up.
All right, then
I'll
Cliff.
be right behind you in case something jumps out at you.
Appreciate
Yeah, X will be up at front too, and
Okay.
maybe the clankier members might hang back a little bit.
Yeah, Locog will bring up the rear guard.
They'll be probably between Cliff and Locad.
Okay. Yeah, you slip up an alley, the scraping sounds of the barricade being pushed back into place behind you, the rising tumult of a cluster of goblins making their way toward you, and just ahead of you, you all slip into not even an alley, it's a little in-cut, stairs that go down, and unlocked, and an iron gate door locked, but well, the urchins both know the trick of it. It's incredibly easy to pick, and you all have an understanding. There's a couple of simple picks that are left by, stashed in a rock, in between some rocks, so that you all can quickly open it at need. It takes no time for either of you to slip it out, unlock it, put it back into place. And soon you all are going down to the thick rounded masonry of the upper level of the sewers. The stairs come down into a wide chamber that moves left and right. You can hear maybe 20 feet below water trickling. Wooden walkways go around the area. As you come up to one, you all begin slipping your way northward. Let's go ahead and get... all right. Any stealth checks for anybody? X and Helena? How far ahead are you moving from the party?
I don't know, no more than 20 feet, I suppose. Definitely stealthing.
And I'll keep up with them, so they got backup.
Oh
Okay.
my, Helena!
You guys-
Well, I have advantage in the sewers, don't I?
You do.
Isn't that you had a feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, you have advantage on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then that's a 13 for stealth.
All right. And everybody go ahead and make perception checks as well.
Ooh.
Just a going perception check for what may or may not be there in the future.
21.
6.
All right, nice.
18 for X.
All right, very nice. So as you come in, your nostrils are met with the fetid odor of the waste of the city. It is flowing in sort of gloppy streams somewhere deep below. You hear fresher water falling from somewhere in the distance, as it echoes and bounces around the corners. You all move off to your left, which is, of course, up the hill, essentially, or toward it. You all come to a series of walkways or stairs and climb your way up. Even, traveling for about 2 minutes, and already some of you are starting to kind of lose your sense of smell. The assault, your senses have just sort of shut it off for the most part. If you breathe deeply or breathe through your mouth, though, the experience renews itself. The walls crawl with slime forms and natural animated but non-hostile oozes. But you all know that the sewer is cleaned and maintained in part by slimes. A very particular type of slime that is produced, or was produced, by Arabelle's great alchemists. A green slime capable of dissolving almost any organic material. Any surface around you could be one of these slimes. They spread out in thin layers and clear all of everything that grows off of the walls. They dissolve and digest anything and everything. And so you know the place is thick with them.
An important part of the ecosystem. Helena whispers, but she's like, but I loathe them.
I usually just avoid them.
It's easy enough for the most part. There are some archways that are glistening, and you're certain up ahead you'll pass under an archway and have to get near enough the walls to climb up a ladder. There's a very good chance, based on what you all can see, that this arch is, the slime on it is a green slime. And that which is on the walls is almost certainly. They're very hard to hurt unless they're sort of, when they're spread out over a surface, and take minimal weapon damage. Area effects will hurt them just as well. Otherwise, when they're like in a blob sort of shape, do weapons do any real damage? But even then, they seem resistant to slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning. Not immune, however. So, now not all of you can see in the dark, I don't believe, right?
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Nope.
Don't believe I can.
All right. So likely, as
Assumable.
there are a stack of torches near the entrance. Some of them are pretty old, but you each managed to get a torch or two. So as orange and yellow firelight glistens off of the slime-covered arch that you're about to pass under to make it to the stairs, the walls also glisten and undulate with slime. Now, Helena, you are certain there's a slime in this area directly up ahead. Now, whether it's on the walls or the arch, or both, it's hard to say. There's definitely enough room for there to be two of them.
Mm-hmm. She points at them with great detestment. Think the vile creatures are up ahead. We may proceed with caution.
Do they like fire?
They hate it, which is
We'll
perfect.
wave our torches around and see if we can run away, huh?
Oh, that's one way.
I'll prepare to go for it and wave the torch around if I think it's going to work.
Okay. As you wave it around, you see that you see that the slime does move and sort of recoil from it. But simply waving it around near it doesn't seem to be actually driving it away.
Hmm.
Well, oozes are my favorite enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So, can I recall some information on them? I have advantage on intelligence checks.
I mean, they're
Intelligence
basically diseases. So things that treat or get rid of disease might help with them. Fire, yes, but usually sustained or over an area. As they can flow around, you've had them burn your hand when you were trying to do just that with a torch. So they can, if they're not feeding on something else, still attack you. So like, burning oil, that sort of thing, is probably one of your favorite tools for dealing with slimes. Let's see here. And there's been a couple times where you had a powder you probably stole from an alchemist that seemed to dry everything out, and you threw this powder on one, and it just dried out like a slug. You don't have any of that, but anything else that might dry one out. You know, fire does normal damage to them as well. They can be baited out with very simple things. It doesn't have to be meat or anything. Anything organic. They eat everything and seem to have no preference one way or the other.
Well, I suppose she recants some of that information with very hushed tones to people behind her, but also that she has nothing that will help in this moment.
I mean, I got this half-eaten sandwich. Will that work?
I mean, it'll distract it, pull it over.
He'll hand it to you and do your magic.
That's not what I'd call it, but alright. She just throws it away from where they're at.
It's a little fetch.
So, I mean, I'm assuming toward the arch that you all are looking at.
Yes, but like not close to where they're at. So, is to move the slime in that direction. Here, slimy sandwich,
Okay.
sandwich.
Well, it seems to be moving, sliding across the ceiling as Cliff backs up. Seems to be tracing his, whatever it senses from him. But it stops when the sandwich hits the ground. It seems to gather and recollect itself and drop down to the floor. It's a large, well, it drops, it looks like a gooey, almost like teardrop shape, and it hits the floor and sort of spreads out and comes back up. You can see bubbles rising within as it dissolves the sandwich. But assumingly, I would assume, and we can assume, that you all had ready actions for this, so
Yeah, quickly move them.
go ahead.
Race past it.
Yep, quickly move past it as it's eating the sandwich.
Okay.
That is exactly what my thoughts were.
All right. It does not, it doesn't change what it's doing at all. It doesn't move as you move past. It seems focused, if such a thing has focus, on the sandwich. But pretty quickly it's dissolved as you all move up toward the ladder. Those bubbles are already ceasing. Locag being the nearest, you can kind of spot like when it's done eating. Oh, camera's going crazy. But it doesn't follow after you. And as you move underneath the arch, all of, the walls around, there's a ladder on the left. The wall underneath it and around it is also crawling. And there's a good chance, again, like I said, that this is also a slime. I don't think that ability does not tell you how many there are. So as you all move up to the ladder, you all do anything to test it out, or do you all just climb?
I mean, Helena would probably rattle it some. I mean, has she been on this ladder before? She's been a lot of places, so probably just the standard shake that she does every time before she goes up the ladder, just to be certain. She doesn't even think about it.
All right, just a moment. All right, the entire wall seems to fall down on Helena. It falls down towards you. As it drapes itself over you, you can feel the slime sort of bulge and surge as it's trying to sort of glom and grab onto you.
No!
That is a 13 to hit Helena.
It does not.
Okay. You manage to sort of step, lean to the side or step back, maybe pushing some of the bulk off of you. Your clothes begin to smoke and put an acrid reek into your nostrils. as the acidic slime burns through some of your clothing.
Sting.
All right, so let's see here. Clear out the initiative. Go ahead and highlight your tokens and roll initiative.
Have we moved off the square map?
Yeah. We're in Theater of the Mind at the moment. That's better.
Did you say theater of the mime? Because then we wouldn't be able to talk.
Well, we do have cameras, though. Come on.
Yeah,
Wah, wah, wah.
I couldn't.
Right. All right. All right. So, at the top of the order is Helena,
Good.
reacting first.
Had to deal with these one too many times. I'm too close for the bow, so yield dagger, but with advantage. And let's see. Looking at the favored foe information real quick again.
Mm-hmm. Adjusting some music in the background.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and 14.
A 14 is going to hit.
5 piercing.
As you pierce the surface tension of the thing's flesh, there's a hissing as the acid hits the dagger. Its form sort of billows, like sort of undulates, and several, a bunch of sort of acidic goop sluices out before it seems to be able to reseal itself. Definitely hurting it, but it's also damaged the weapon.
Ah,
It's still functioning for the moment. All right, anything else for Helena?
no.
All right. So once more, this slime lashes out, sort of forms a pseudopod, which surges forward for a 17 to hit Helena.
That does hit.
All right. Make a Constitution saving throw.
On this?
Say again?
Will I have advantage?
No.
Okay.
All right.
10.
You take 6 points of acid damage.
Ooh. Elena's hurting.
Next in the order is Millie.
All right. Seeing this slime fall on Lena. No, draw the crossbow and try to shoot it
Okay.
with a bolt.
That is a hit.
An 11. Okay. A whopping 3 piercing.
There's a sort of splut sort of sound as the crossbow bolt pierces through it. It loses some fluid from both sides before, again, it seems to seal itself back up. You can tell you're hurting it, but you can also tell you're not hurting it very much at a time.
Lena, always look up the ladder before you shake it. Remember, always look first.
Any other actions for Millie?
That's all I have.
Next in the order then is X.
X is going to get the Manticore tattoo activated on his arm. He's going to put the arrow up there and see if I can shoot this thing.
Okay.
the Manticore tattoo. And it's engaged with one of my compatriots, right?
It is.
It'll activate sneak attack in case I hit.
That is definitely going to hit.
All right, 8 damage.
Nice. Again, the arrow passes almost seemingly harmlessly through the form, but you know you're hurting it. That loss of fluid before the surface tension restores itself lets you know that. But it is still moving, still attached to Helena.
I will look around for other slimes.
Excellent. Go ahead and make another perception check. It can't be lower than your passive perception. Or no, it can be lower than your passive perception, but it is not. And there is, indeed, another slime on the far wall. It seems to be creeping up toward the ceiling, as if to get the drop on you or Cliff, as you are all positioned toward the front.
Okay, I have my movement, so I will move so it's not positioned above me, and I will point it out, and I will say, there is more slime.
All right, next in the order is Cliff.
Yeah, all right. I realized I have this blasting powder I picked up to go with the pistol. I could burn it all, but it's kind of OP. It does 3d6 damage in a 5-foot explosion. Would I be able to use that? I don't know. That seems maybe a little OP at first level, but...
I mean, you have it. You could use it. You wouldn't have it again. You wouldn't have charges for your ammo. There's also the potential danger of that explosion happening inside with you all down there. Could it even, even if it didn't hurt you physically, it could seriously damage your hearing.
Yeah, I'll think better of that. Could I whack this thing with the torch? Would it be like a light club or something? Maybe do fire damage or something?
Yeah.
All right, I'll try that.
Okay.
I'll just roll a hand axe because that's what I have.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if it's gonna ruin my weapon, it'll ruin a torch.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, it's going to do a d6 damage.
All right.
Torch of superior accuracy.
Four flaming damage on the one that was like. I assume I can get the one that was like trying to get the drop on me, or I can get the one that's on my friend.
Yeah, the one that the other one up on the ceiling's not in range yet.
Yeah, so he'll try to get the one, try to help up my friend who's getting, Elena's getting eaten. He'll attack that one first.
Okay.
And I think I do have my feature, my favored foe. I can do another D4. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well. One damage.
Oh, we must have missed
So
that.
5.
Okay, we must have missed that for Helena. Helena, would you go ahead and roll that d4 for your favorite foe damage?
Oh, that's right. Why would have it too?
Oh yes, absolutely. Not used to that yet.
We're
No
both
worries.
rangers in different ways.
Just a D4, you said?
Uh-huh.
4.
Awesome.
Ah, stupid slime.
Awesome. So as Cliff, you slam the torch down onto it and hold it, the surface sizzles and pops. A small flame catches for a brief moment. It goes out, but the surface tension of the slime breaks, and this sort of neutralized acidic goo spreads all over the floor.
Nice. I feel satisfied. And then Cliff will just ready himself for the shield for that thing coming at him.
All right. Next in the order then is Lokag. You saw a couple of them look up ahead of you, so you assume there's another slime nearby. You can kind of see Helena a little bit, like from on the other side of the archway, and you saw something, the wall kind of come alive, grabbing her, and you saw a torch plunged into it, and you kind of see it's an ooze where it was. So you can assume that there's another ooze in the ceiling. But Lokag might do something else.
So yeah, Lokag, seeing that the torch work on that ooze, he's like, "Oh, these things must be vulnerable to fire," and he's gonna charge up and he wants to look for, as he passes through the arch, he wants to look up. He's looking for that slime that X pointed out on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see
And
that.
how high up is it?
15 feet.
Oh, that's quite a bit. All right. I guess he's gonna move. He's just gonna move towards the ladder, and get. So, like, Helena was first, and so then Cliff and X were next in line, and the slime was above them.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Cliff has moved up to attack, Lokag kind of wants to position himself so that he's like not directly under the slime, but like between where the slime might drop and Helena and Cliff.
Okay. Okay.
And he's just gonna say, "Get up the ladder."
All right. Next.
And I want to hold my action to swing the torch at the slime if it drops.
Copy that. Okay. So, Lokag, obviously, yeah, you all saw that he's ready to do that. As wants you all to go up ahead the ladder. What is Helena, or Pon? What are you thinking about doing this round? Just briefly, we're gonna do our top of the round check-in.
I definitely have to do a bit of healing. And really, since I'm such close proximity to the slimes, and I just hate them so very much, there's going to be a lot of stabbies, probably.
Okay. Yeah, one slime is dead. The one that was grappling you is no more.
Well, isn't there one ahead, though?
Yeah, there's one above you, directly over y'all's heads again. So, yeah.
I might have to pull back a little bit. I am hurt pretty good. It depends how much healing happens.
Okay.
I got this.
All right. Millie, what's Millie? What are you thinking for Millie?
If I can see the one above, probably firing at it with the crossbow. If not, just holding an action to fire at it when it gets in range.
Okay. X, how about you?
Attacking slime ceiling.
All right. Cliff?
Nick, you're muted.
Oh, yeah, you're muted, Nick.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
I was low on the draw. I mean, he's going to try to protect everyone and just be the front line and take this thing out when it comes at him.
All
Try
right.
to keep you forged.
Lokag, you're going to make that opportunity, or that ready to action opportunity attack, and then what are you doing on your turn, you think?
I think, I guess he's just gonna kind of. I actually don't really know. I think he's just gonna attack the slime.
Okay.
As much as humanly possible.
All right. Top of the order, Helena. At the ladder, a slime just over y'all's heads. You've just stepped through an arch. And,
I definitely want to, I guess, drink my potion of healing.
Okay. That'll be a bonus action. It's only a small, like, tot. Big cork, easy to thumb it off. And you don't have to drink it. You can pour it on your wounds as well.
I can't remember what dice that is.
2d4 plus 2.
All right. Do I reroll ones or no?
No, not at this table.
All right. That will be 5 then. And I think then. So it's like 15 feet ahead of me or above me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna shoot at it with my newfound short bow.
Okay. Nice. That's gonna hit. That is definitely a hit.
8 piercing plus the D4.
Nice.
Plus 4. Yeah, heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Yeah, the arrow hits and pierces so hard it actually shatters on the ceiling after passing through the slime. A small gout of fluid is dumped downward. And anything else for Millie? I'm sorry, for Helena?
I think I'm gonna take like a step back, just so I'm kind of out of the way of anyone else. basically.
Okay. All right. So as you take a step back, just as the slime drops down toward Cliff.
Just come at me, bro.
That is going to be a 12 to hit. Actually, let me see here. I'm going to use my DM Inspiration and re-roll that. Ah, it's even lower. So the slime drops and misses. Next in the order
Nails on my
is...
shield.
Yeah, it kind of slides off your shield, begins to sort of reform itself once it splats down to the ground. Millie.
All right. Kind of look around. Anyone got a lantern with oil in it?
No, I hadn't been too busy grabbing this hat.
I do have a vial of oil, but I don't have
It is a rather nice hat. I'll shoot the slime again.
Okay.
Nate.
All right, let's see here. That is the slime's armor class.
Oh, wow.
Not very intelligent creature.
3 again.
Doesn't need to be. It's very resilient. Hard to hurt. Another arrow passes through it. You can tell you
So it's a
again,
barbarian?
just a small amount of damage
Yes.
to it. Almost.
Slime barb.
It's your next build, right, DL?
Not very smart. Doesn't take much damage.
All right, anything else from Millie?
Nope, that's my whole action.
Okay. Your arrow clatters off into the darkness. Next in the order is X.
Okay, we'll fire up that manticore tattoo again. It flashes, the arrow flies. Here we go, let's go. 11 to hit.
11 is going to hit.
11 damage.
As your arrow pierces through, the whole form undulates and the surface tension breaks. The second slime is dispatched. You know. What does X do next? You still have your movement and potential bonus action.
Just look around and see if there's any more slimes.
Okay. You can make another perception check.
Nine.
It's really hard to tell. All of the surfaces are glossy with slime, but whether it's a dangerous slime, it's hard to tell. If they were closer, you'd be able to see, but there's lots of sort of glistening surfaces. Next in the order is Cliff.
All right. Well, my passive. What do I see? There was any more slimes that need to be dealt with.
You see to both directions in the corridor, all of the walls are moving in your direction. It seems that and Helena knows this all too well, that the excitement of the other slimes can sometimes create something like a feeding frenzy, although it's extremely rare. Otherwise, she probably would have mentioned it.
Is it something where we can make a run for it now, and now that we've taken these two out, and we can try to get ahead of them?
It certainly seems like the time to try to do that.
All right, yeah. Cliff's gonna be bold and say, "All right, move," and he's gonna take point, shield forward, and try to get past this line before they close in on us.
Okay. As he shouts that off, the ladder is right there, which is where you all are going, is up to the next level.
Yeah, I'll grab the ladder and start going up.
All right. Yeah. Cliff shouts, "Let's move," and starts running it up the ladder. What about Lokag?
And I'll wait and let others go ahead if and follow them. So I'll kind of, I guess I'll call it a delay, like kind of ready action
Okay.
to go after the more wounded, fragile ones go. And I'll be happy to take a hit or two if I have to.
Okay. Let's So, top of the order thoughts. What are your thoughts about what to do next? Helena?
Guess. I mean, we gonna go up the ladder?
Yeah, he's like ready
I
to
think
like,
we should.
Up the ladder.
That's basically all I've got on my mind is up the ladder.
Okay. Does anybody want to hang back for any reason or do anything else?
just to cover our exit.
So
there was a slime behind us. Do we have any impression that it's trying to come help its pals, or is it too far?
It's following us.
yeah, Clifford thinks that most, like maybe a few slimes are sort of moving from both ends of the corridor toward you near the ladder. So everything within about 30 feet seems like it's moving toward you.
Up the ladder, double time.
Okay. You all pretty quickly make it up the ladder. It's not too long of a climb. It's about 50 feet. There's a small platform that about twice as much room as you need to all stand on the platform. But as you know, your visibility of what's below fades. Your last sight is that the ladder itself is glistening, and so you're climbing ahead of them. But Helena, you can sense them. They're still behind you. It seems you've gathered quite a number of interested slimes that are, but they're not fast. That's the main thing you know about them. They can move about a third your speed.
Yeah. Wicked, vile, gross things. She says, looking back, still moving forward.
All right, so you all, the landing that you're on, there's a very, very narrow wooden walkway. It goes along a wall, and it's just an expanse of emptiness. You all can't see the far wall. You can hear the slow-moving water below you. You can hear from likely sewage grates elsewhere in the ceiling of what must be a massive chamber that you're in. Sounds from the surface. You can hear muttering and goblins perhaps arguing with each other. From another, you hear the sounds of a pretty intense combat. But this one, at least the townsfolk, by word, seem to feel like they are pressing a bunch of goblins back. Occasionally, as you move along this platform up in the dark, you'll hear the chant, "Meet for the Masters," back down, called out like with an exultation, as if a war party has just slaughtered several townsfolk or won some great prize. Let's see here. Soon, the only wall that you have, your guiding star, the platform and a wall is all you can see for about 10 minutes. When you come upon that first blue-green section of wall that supposedly houses the royal secret passageways, royal tunnels that traverse the city. Now, it's possible, and it was mentioned, to break into these tunnels and use them. Is that interesting to you all, or do you all want to continue moving through the sewers as they are? You all have time to talk about it, so we'll just go briefly through the players. So, Bri, Lokag, what are you thinking? Or what's most interesting to you as a player? You want to break a hole in this or keep moving through the sewers?
I'd say Lokag wants to get to the biggest goblins possible, so he doesn't care just which way leads to the big goblins. He's thinking the tunnel. That's his intuition, is saying the tunnel will lead me to the big ones.
Well, everyone can agree that it would be faster once you're inside the tunnel. The sewers themselves are maze-like. There's several long runs, but most of them are deep underground, and aren't really going to help you. So it's a lot of switching back and forth and going up and down to navigate through the sewers. And that's with you all's knowledge and knowing the secrets. Small holes that you can crawl through, gates that were removed, whole sections of maps tunnels not on any maps. Places where the walls are thin or old stonework has crumbled. Even using all your tricks, it might take an hour to make it all the way through the city. And that's provided that all of the tunnels are intact, because a massive weight did slam down on the top of the hill.
Maybe we stay above ground. At least we can help people up here.
Oh, you're still underground at the moment.
Yeah, but if we go up the ladder, we can come out and find our way to that tunnel.
No, the ladder just got you up onto this walkway and platform.
Got it.
But yeah,
But we're trying to this one that goes to the docks, right? There's the wealthy listed to.
well, they said there were multiple of those tunnels sort of radiating outward from the city center, the palace, like spokes. One for each of the gates, and one that went to the docks as well. You think you found the tunnel that goes to the Salt Gate, your section of town.
Gotcha.
So, DL, what are you thinking? Through the sewers or make a hole?
Make a hole. Let's get into this super secret passageway.
All right.
I'm with you.
Joe, how you feel about that?
How long do we think it's going to take us to make the hole?
Depends on what you use, you know. If you're using some
I
tools,
have a hammer.
yeah, that would help.
Okay, Lokag grabbed a crowbar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you could have easily grabbed a crowbar.
and a crowbar.
So, with some simple tools like that, it just depends on how thick the walls are. You know, it could be, could even be as long as an hour, but likely you should be able to get in a half hour. It's also, that is, unless Cliff wanted to use some of his blasting powder.
Oh man, if I could save enough to be able to use it for my pistol, then maybe it's 3d6. Maybe I only do 2d6 worth.
I could accept that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try blasting it with 2d6 of explosive damage.
You could save that. I can try and take a swing with my hammer if you'd like. If you
Oh,
want
yeah.
to save it.
I mean, this is precious stuff. Kind of hard.
I'd
to
rather
find.
us not blow up the underground here and get collapsed on.
Hey.
Not to rain on your parade. Of course, if you want to make explosion, please go ahead.
No, smash away, big guy.
Excellent. I was hoping to break open Goblin's skull with this, but this will do. So,
Alright.
do I just make an attack roll with the hammer?
Make a strength check. Make it with advantage.
Good stuff. 20.
20. Excellent. So he begins to swing his hammer with, stepping back occasionally to judge his work, look for, hit seams in the stone where two blocks might meet, and gives 4, 5, and 6 great slams. One of the massive blocks has been turned almost to dust. It takes a few more minutes to pull the rubble and such out, but there's enough room for you each to slide through. The larger of you might have to remove some scabbards and, pull your bow off your back and that sort of thing, and climb under. It looks like it's only about 2 feet, just the length of a brick before you're inside. The tunnel is dark, but smells dry and clean.
Well, that's refreshing.
Lokag's hammer did a good
Can we try to
job.
pat-
Go
Can we try
ahead.
to patch up the hole a little bit behind us?
Be hard with what you have to work with. Chunks of stone. What do you have in mind?
Lokag only break, no fix.
I don't think it's worthwhile to block our own exit.
Yeah, we don't know what's ahead.
Yeah, I just don't want slimes coming through after us.
And they move slow. Let's just keep a move on, huh?
There really is no stopping the constant onslaught of the slimes.
Who goes through first, crawling on their belly beneath the stones?
I'll go. I'm happy to go first.
I'll go.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'll try to sneak in there. I got dark vision, so I can see.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So it is dark inside. You slip in. Again, it's just going low on your belly, crawling through. No checks needed. You're just kind of vulnerable, so it's a little bit nervous making, slipping in. As your head cranes one way and the other, you take in the beautiful dressed stonework, a fine knotwork in stone along the floor. You see beautiful, torch sconces, but they're like silvery torches set in the wall with crystalline glow globes atop them. They are not lighted at the moment. Perhaps some magic of royalty or some emblem that they carry will turn them on. But it's silent, still, clean, and dry in here. You do hear distant echoes. You can make a perception check.
Ooh, 9.
Heavy, gruff voices, punctuated by a shrill, nasally tone. Someone giving orders and someone arguing.
Goblin?
It's Goblin. Yeah.
In the tunnels up ahead?
Very far, somewhere up ahead. Not close, not an immediate threat.
I say we sneak up on him and take him out.
I'll say back to the group, it's safe to enter.
Okay, so the rest of you all can slip in. Who goes next?
I'll go next.
Lokag. It takes some effort to get your bulky form in. You definitely have to take, bits of armor off, probably your weapon belt, your stuff, slide it through ahead of you, your backpack, all that stuff has to come off. And you managed to squeeze. And Millie pushing you from behind.
Lokag was definitely he took his backpack off, put it on the ground, used his hammer to slide it through, and then just kept pushing his hammer. And then he went through. He was a little nervous about getting stuck, so he went through feet first and kind of kicked the hammer through as he shimmied in.
X
I am
mentioned
big, Old is small.
I think X mentioned something about that vial of oil being useful now.
Yes, sometimes I grease up before pit fights. It's good for escaping or grasping holds.
As you finally get yourself through, pulling yourself, pushing yourself out overhead, standing up to your feet. Who goes through next? Just Millie and Helena.
Helena will definitely go, but she'd like to check herself and her items for any potential slime residue.
Okay. There is a bit of the residue, but it's not the acid that pools up on its surface. It's just the weird, you're not sure what it is, organs. It's just goop. It's acrid, it doesn't smell good, but it's not harmful. At least you haven't eaten it, so.
It's not good for your hair or anything like that, is it?
Well, there are a lot of alchemists that purchase the slime vitriol for making different potions. Antivenoms, it's said that they can use it to make healing potions as well. But no word that it's good for your hair, unfortunately.
I don't have anything to put it in at the moment. What a shame.
You have an empty potion bottle.
Oh, you're right, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then I'd love to plow that extra slime residue and wring out my cloth and put it into the bottle before I get into that hole and make my way through.
You managed to fill the vial with the slime dripping off of your arm. So yeah, you have green slime ooze. And if you're not mistaken, you think this is worth about 10 gold. If you sell it to the right person. So perhaps the alchemist will buy it or trade it for more potions.
Wealthiest person ever.
She is on her way.
Helena has all of the money.
It's a complete role reversal. Like she had none, and everybody else had some, and now she's got all.
She's gonna be the next self-made billionaire. We all know it.
Love to see that. You love to see that. Coming from nothing.
Millie will take one more look around just to make sure there's no impeding green slimes, and then through the busted hole into the tunnels.
Okay. Once you're into the tunnels, you feel a sense of relief. Your senses aren't assaulted. There's corridor ahead and behind, but it's empty. It's silent, and just the day's exhaustion and tension for those of you who are still unused to such things. It kind of weighs on you, and might even be tempted to call for a rest, which this wouldn't be a terrible place. But it does lead somewhere, and you all do have a goal. So, do you all decide to take a rest or to move on?
I don't want to rest with goblin voices in the tunnel ahead.
Yeah,
That's
no, I'm
X's
moving
opinion.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep.
Indeed, there's nothing continuing on.
I'm a little skeezed out, man. Gotta keep moving.
It could be right behind you. You never know.
You never know.
So, once you all gather yourselves and Lokag puts all of his various equipment back in order, torches out, you all make it through the darkened royal passageway. It's long. There's sets of stairs and landings as you all keep climbing the hills, but still underground. Soon, though, after you feel like you've crested the top of the hill, there's been no more stairs for a moment, and just by nature of how much you've walked and how well from Millie and Helena, you're at the top of the hill, and are heading toward the remains of the palace. But soon, cracks start to intrude on the beautiful stonework. What was pristine, and you're seeing cracks and faults crazing along it. The corridor here and there seems to shift up and down, left or right. Not as you move, but just it's been shifted by the falling of the massive stone. The sound of goblin voices gets closer, but never quite near. The smell of sewage comes strongly to your nostrils again. The corridor ahead of you seems buckled and broken, and you'll have to climb a slick slope of stone to make it any further ahead. But the smell of sewage and something else. You all can make nature checks or survival. Those of you who have traveled and in the wilds a lot can make that with advantage. Lokag, you've traveled a long way. The bounty hunter and the priest have all traveled a long way.
Oh, I got a crit.
Mm-hmm.
7.
Nice.
14.
I know my goblin.
Clifford, you smell swamp. Brackish, sulfury, you smell swamp water. It's a different sort of filth with the sewage. The voices.
Close to water.
You are. As you all begin to slip up the slope, almost on your bellies again, because the tilt and angle of it, but your fingers digging into the carved stonework or into the cracks and the broken face of the stone. It's halfway between a hike and a climb up this underground hill. The broken, once fine stonework passing beneath your fingers unnoticed as your senses are tuned up ahead. As you come over the edge, you see what must be, well, strange carved stone. There's a small, like, opening. There's a void at the end of this tunnel. You can see the ruins of the royal tunnel, pressed out, pressed down, just all around you as the corridor sort of bows out. And you can see what must be the side of the stone. This weird reddish orange stone. The surface of it carved in nonsensical shapes. Down below you is water. It is there's filth and funk and detritus floating on top of it. There's green and yellow foam, flecks of wood and masonry. You hear drums somewhere. So looking down, you can see the water. There seems to be a cave entrance or exit. Maybe depending on how you look at it. But there seems to be a hole that goes into the stone. You have to climb down into this nasty water, or at least on the edges of it, where you maybe could get footing. But coming in through that cavern is the distant sound of drums, the distant sound of clanging weapons, shouting and cheering. Lokag? This tells you some sort of fighting pit. There's a very distinct rhythm to shouting, the ringing of metal, and exultant cries of victory. There's a fighting pit somewhere up ahead. Those of you who know metals and metalworking can hear the ringing of many anvils somewhere ahead. You can hear the sloshing of thick water. You hear a nasally voice, but it's raised in sonorous, prayerful tones. Occasionally you hear the grunting of other goblin voices, perhaps, taking part in some religious phraseology. That is what you all sense and hear. From here, the top of the slope underground, looking down, there's water and a cave entrance, and all these sounds are issuing in from the darkness. Sounds like the inner world of this invading stone that's crushed the promise of Arabelle's leadership, leaving the work to the likes of you to find out what's going on and perhaps connect others who can do the work that you're doing. Your senses and instincts tell you that this is, you'd be entering the bottom of the stone. Cliff. How does Cliff respond? What are his first thoughts? What does he say to the party?
I think I'd want to kind of do a check and get a sense of what I might know before kind of taking the scene. So he's going to sort of quietly figure out, maybe get his ear to the tunnel and get a sense of what feels safe, what feels horrible. Try to get inside that.
All right, so you're going to go ahead and slip forward?
Yeah, just try to test it out.
All right. How about Millie? What's Millie's first thoughts or instincts, reactions or words? I think you're muted, Joe.
Yeah, I guess more curiosity of what the hell this thing is, and why it's seems like its own city.
How about X?
We must rescue hostages.
All right. Lokag.
I did not bring my my good loincloth. If I'm going to fight in this fighting pit, I need to go back home and get my good loincloth to impress these goblins.
And Helena?
Well, I mean, might as well keep pressing forward. I really can't survive if I stay in one spot, so I'm just gonna stick around the big guy.
All right, so sounds like you're all ready to continue. As you all, the other side of the slope is more rocky, easier to climb than that sort of slick floor that's been jutted up. So you're all able to climb over the lip and make your way down toward the waters. As those sounds come to you more loudly, echoing out across the water, you can now tell they're from above, coming down from somewhere, echoing across this water toward the rest of you. Hold just a minute, my camera's freaking out. Okay. So you get the sense that you're down low within the stone as you kind of creep up toward the cavern entrance. It's hard to see anything. Even with dark vision, you can't see very far. Just the water with scum floating on top. And looking out across across the waters, you think you can see some of the walls of this massive chamber, maybe 100 feet across. And there's what seems to be far out across this water a small island. Torches on sconces. They're illuminating a shack. It's a large, tumbling shanty. Grass growing off of the roof. There's grass growing on the mound. None of this looks like it belongs here. And you hear, far off across the waters,
"Ah, yes, I'm my pet. Yes, oh, sweet pets. Oh, Aggie needs her sweetest pets, yes. Oh, are you hungry too?"
you make out some figure maybe standing on the edge of this island, leaning down toward the water. All of it seems unnatural. The island itself, the cottage that shouldn't have survived any of this. An old lady feeding things in whatever water this is. Well, you've taken your first step inside the Goblin Stone and found more mysteries. But there are answers somewhere within this place. But we'll have to find them perhaps next session on Goblin Stone.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun!
Da, 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 da.
Da, 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 da.
All right. In the list of notes, create theme song. Or maybe, we'll just have to practice it between sessions and we can all just do it a cappella.
Right.
All right. Well, heck yeah. Survived. Got out of the square, saw some more of what's going on, explored a bit together.